Hi friends, it's Jenny, and it is the last day of September, and we've been doing our September chain challenge, and it's also the Tuesday after our companion bundles from Bead Box Bargains got delivered. And that's when Becky and I we've been kind of doing it as almost a regular thing where we do our 2 for Tuesday, which Becky used to do before I joined the channel. She would take the Bargain Bead Box for the month and the companion bundle from the month, and she would make a design with each of those bundles. It would be like a necklace and earrings, usually a bracelet too. And I came in and I started looking at things differently because I'm a different person. And so what I have been doing for my 2 for Tuesday since I started helping in June, so this is going to be my fourth one that I do, is I take my boxes and I just combine them. I pull a little bit from here, a little bit from there. I know a lot of our friends get both the subscription box and the companion bundle. Or you may not have gotten the companion bundle, but have some other items in your stash. So I'm just showing, like, my version is just to do something outside of just the box itself. And I do use the companion bundle for that. And this month I have a lot of beads, guys. A lot of beads. I haven't made anything from this yet. One of my designs is going to be a chain necklace, and I've already completed my 2 each week for the first 4 weeks of September, but we are kind of going into this week a little bit. And so I decided I'm going to go ahead and have a 9th design, which I usually do at least one chain design when I do my 2 for anyway. One is chain and one is strung. But I have not just the subscription box. That's a lot brighter than it should be. Let me see if I can adjust that. Give me just a moment. Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this is my, there's a small interruption there because for some reason my video stopped recording right after I made that adjustment to my lighting. So I'm gonna try not to do that again in the middle of a thing, because I think it also like resets some of what I did. But I have my subscription box here. And in addition to this, I did also get the companion bundle. So I've got this. So we've got the subscription box and the companion bundle, and that's a lot of beads. But I also, let's zoom a little bit. I also got the value bundle that they had. And my stuff, I got some box extras. We got this wooden beaded chain in the companion bundle. This one, I basically had 3 boxes of beads because I overflowed from these into this. Plus also these were from the value bundle. So yeah, I have a lot of beads to choose from. So I am going to pull out some things that I've been kind of playing with. I played around a little bit. I didn't make a lot of links ahead of time because I'm going to be making some links for this. Let's go back to our normal distance. So I've been playing, and then the light, oh good. I didn't like how dark it was. Look how fun and colorful all this is, friends. I didn't like that it wasn't showing how colorful this was. So whatever just happened, I'm leaving it alone. But I played around a little bit with taking the beaded chain that we got and just using just one. I've seen some people do like where they keep 3 of these links together, but I had too many different links I wanted to do, and I wanted them to show on my pattern. So I played around with that. I played around with some little, dangle ideas for our strung pattern later. But mostly I'm just going to be making on camera with all of you. So let me get some of the beads out for the strung design. We're going to definitely use this chain here. And we are using these patterned blue beads here. I love them. I love them a lot. So getting out some of those, and see, I got an extra pack of them. There's another pack in there. We are going to be using some of these crystals, and I got some extra crystals when they put up the companion bundle and the box extras. definitely got some of those. So I'm dumping those into my mat because we're going to be using them in both designs, I'm sure. I'll grab more when I need them. And then from this box, we're using some of these spacers. These daisy spacers. We're going to use some of these bead caps over here. I love how they are with the blue beads. So definitely using some of these bead caps. I wanted to show you all the boxes all full, so I didn't get all of this out ahead of time. We're going to come back to this bead mix when we do the strung design. Right now I'm just pulling out everything for the chain design. I think that's it from this box. Nope, it's not. We're also using these in the chain design. These other crystals from the main box. I am using a lot of the main box in this design, but I am also going to be using some from the companion bundle. And I found that that's kind of what I end up doing is I do mix it all up, but a lot of times I'll make things from one collection and then borrow a few things from the other. All right, we're going to come back to this later because I am doing something with these, but that's for later. And then I've got, oh, and these go in here too. Yeah, I just pulled them out. From this one, we are using this fire polish here. And again, we're going to be coming back to this for the strung design. I have ideas using these little beads and these spacers, possibly some of these other stones. So we will come back to it. But I am using these in one of my links. So that's that box. And then from here, I'm going to be using this pendant for my chain design. And I am thinking I might use one of these as a connector and make a link. I'm also using some of these red crystals. And some of these bead caps. We'll use those puffy flower beads when we do the strung design, because that's what I've been playing around with for some dangles for that. And we're going to use these fancy clasps. I'm getting out both of them because I may go ahead and do a bracelet with this. I don't always do a bracelet with mine, but I'm kind of thinking maybe, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. So fair warning, this is going to be a long video. And I think it adjusted again. Why does it do that? It's not supposed to. I have it turned off, but it's my phone, friends. It's my phone. I've already adjusted the exposure. It should be a little bit brighter. And that adjustment stopped the recording again too. So it's fine. I'll piece all of them together, but at least it looks a little bit brighter on my mat right now. I hope. Anyway, so as you can see from this bit of chain that I've been playing with, I made 3 links, and I am going to be, I should go over materials. I'm going to be using this vintage Ron 20 gauge wire. This is a dead soft wire. And I am, let me move these boxes of beads a little bit farther away because I've got to reach for my tools. I am going to be using my Casual Comfort plier set, round nose, chain nose, and bent chain nose. A little bit later, oh, and I will be using flush cutters. I got some new ones and they click, which is weird to me. Is that normal? Do you guys have these Xeron flush cutters and do they click? Or is there something wrong with mine? Please let me know. Some memory wire cutters for when I'm cutting some pins later, and the magical crimpers for when I am crimping my strung project. I'm also going to be using, when I get to the strung project, the dark blue lapis from Softflix. It's medium, a 0.019 inch beading wire. But again, we will get to it. For now, let's make some links. I showed you those other materials and tools just in case I forget to later. So, is that, nope. It's the other end of the wire. There we go. So I'm just going to pull out this wire, and I am straightening it between my thumb and my forefinger. And just, What this does is it straightens it out and it warms it up a little bit, so it makes it easier to work with. This length of chain, which is basically one repeat, subject to change, is about 5.5 inches. Let me get my actual, because my mat is in millimeters. So if you're wondering for millimeters, that's 13 millimeters. In inches, we are looking at, yeah, about 5.25 for this length of chain. And I would kind of like to have my necklaces possibly be able to be layered. So I am going to make this longer than I normally do. I'm going to repeat this twice for each side. So I'm going to make 3 more of each of these links because that's what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to load them. That's one of the things that Beki likes to do, and I follow her lead. I think it's great. She makes her links assembly line style, and that's how I'm going to do mine. So first I'm going to load up the ones that look like this, and that's one of these crystals from the companion bundle, one of these spiky bead caps from the original box, open side up, a blue bead, another matching bead cap, and then another one of these red crystals. And I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna make 3 more of those. So yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit longer. I know a lot of you do like a nice long video, and I am gonna do that with this one. Making a lot of it with you. I tested out some ideas, that's why a little bit of it is made ahead, but rather than, you know, make 2 more of each of these by myself and then 1 with you, it just made sense, since it was only 2 more, to just, let's just do that together, and we'll have a little bit of a hangout. Get a drink, get a project. Here's my 3rd of this particular link. Okay, so I've just got all those on there, and then I'm going to build my next link. So my next link, because I'm skipping the wood beads because they're already ready, because I'm just opening this and pulling them off. I am putting this one. This one's going to have one of these kind of red tone fire polish, and I am going to be picky and choosy. Some of these are more crystally, so they don't have as much of the color. I want the ones that have more color, so I'll be using from these because I want them to bring out the blue in the crystal that I'm pairing them with. So then I'm using one of these bead caps that's a little bit taller from the original box, and putting on one of these square crystals, which it looks funny right now, but it is better when it's all together. So it's right, but it looks funny when you're building it. It's all right, friends. And then a matching bead cap and 1 more fire polish. So that red is going to bring out that kind of steel blue that you have in that crystal, because that's what I'm doing with these ones and these links, is I am playing with that red and blue together a little bit. So all three links feature both colors and some additional bits of the featured metal, which is the antique bronze or antique brass. And so that's how I'm doing those guys. And then for our 3rd link that we're using on this design, and I did consider just doing these ones in between each of the other 2 colors, but I think I'm just going to repeat the 3 because adding the wood beads in, we're going to have a decent amount of length anyway that separates all of them, and it's just going to feel, I don't know. I like the way it all just kind of flows together and doesn't really necessarily have to be like a repeating pattern. It will be a repeating pattern, but not like this and this, like not just a two back and forth, or 3 with 1 having more and being like the focal. I'm just doing it a little bit different. Okay, so then we're gonna make this link, and this has those. I know that some people struggled with these beads and how to use them in the design. I felt like these spacer beads were a really good element to use that combine that. And then we've also got this more muted crystal because we've got some sparkly crystals farther down. And this one, we're going to be having some more muted crystals. So this one is going to be one of these slate blue kind of matte crystals, a daisy spacer, a barrel bead, and then another daisy spacer, and then the slate blue matte crystal. So building those, loading those guys up on my strand. So I've got 9 links I'm going to make, 3 more of each of these, and I'm just going to do them, like I said, assembly style. So the way that I'm doing that, let me move some of these other elements back out of the way. We'll grab them when we need them, just so that we're a little bit less competing when I'm showing you how I'm doing things. So I just take the end of the wire here and my round nose pliers, and I do like small links, so I'm doing mine right about here, and I'm just pinching the end of that wire between the jaws, but where it's not overextending past the jaws. And I'm just taking it and rolling it gently. Woo, that bent. This wire is a little bit softer than what I usually use. I usually use the gold and the silver, but I have noticed that this one is softer. So I need to adjust my grip. This is going to be too mingled. I'm just going to snip this off because that's, I'm going to have a hard time straightening this back out smoothly enough for the beads to do what they need to do. So I'm just taking that off, and that's fine. That is one thing to know. It is a 20 gauge wire, but it is, it feels softer to me. But just a tug test here. My links aren't opening. Like, I'm doing a tug test on this where I made them. And the softness is not affecting my ability to do the simple loops. So otherwise that would have pulled apart right now, and it didn't. Okay, trying that again, but remembering my strength. I'm not the power lifter, Beki is. So you just take that and roll it towards you until the metal meets metal, and then you just move the pliers around, reposition them so that you get the other jaw underneath, and just give it a little bit of a knockback so that it straightens the loop over the link. And then I'm just snipping here the flush cut towards my spool because this guy's going to get one more trim and my next link will start flush. So I am going to be doing these as parallel loops. So I'm just holding it like this, where I can see this, and then I'm folding it over with my fingers. Like I said, this is a softer wire. If you want to use your pliers, you can. But I'm just getting a little bit of a bend there. That's only 1, 2. I need 1 more of those. I need 1 more of that link. I only loaded 2. How many of you noticed that I didn't load 3 of that one? I was busy talking. Just get this on here so I don't forget. Just popping these beads on. All right. Here we go again. So just taking it, bending it around till it gets metal to metal, and then repositioning this and doing a little knockback like that to straighten it over. So I'm just going to keep doing that on all of these. I won't demonstrate it every single time, but that is what I'm doing for this step. And the reason that I'm using my pliers and my cutters, but I'm kind of stopping at this point because I want to do the rest later. But this way I at least have everything. I know Beki does this even more assembly style where she just cuts it and then like leaves the beads sitting there, but my beads try to escape on me all the time and I don't trust them. I don't trust my beads. So I do take that other step after cutting to just knock that, that wire over so that it doesn't, and I'm just going like about a finger down so that it doesn't try to escape. I like this box. Becky did the unboxings this month, and it worked out for us that way, with me visiting her when the first box came, and then I had something else. I actually did get my companion bundle a day before her, but I had something else going on. And so by the time I would have been able to get to it, she also had the companion bundle. That's why it's just a little bit later than usual from us this time. And Becky's made from it a couple of times. She made some earrings when she unboxed. And then she also has done a great necklace design that showed how to use these medallions. It's not that I'm not brave enough. I just feel like Becky's already done that. And I'm going to be doing different things with my stuff. I have so many beads to choose from. I'm not forcing myself to use that element. But I've also had a little bit of a hard time. I usually have a hard time with like autumn themed stuff because of the colors, but this isn't heavily brown or orange. I actually really love the blue that is in here. But I was just having a hard time getting specifically inspired. I didn't have any designs like beaten down the door in my brain trying to say, hey, let's do this. And I know that that's something that other people have also felt, whether it's with this box or a different box. I think that it's important sometimes to just kind of give yourself some rest with it. Don't try to force it, but then also, you know, don't ignore it. You know, wait for it to get out your beads and actually start playing, because that's when I started getting these ideas. I thought in my head that I was going to do like 3 of these in a row and then just have these other links along the way, but I liked this better. This just felt more fun to me. And so that's because I got the beads out and I started playing. And I hadn't really given myself permission to do that yet, because part of that is I have a metal allergy. Some of you know, we also have a lot of new people here, and so you might not know. I have a metal allergy. It is the most common kind of metal allergy. It's an allergy to nickel. If you know someone who doesn't like to wear jewelry because it makes their ears hurt or something like that, chances are they have a nickel allergy. They might not have even always had a nickel allergy. It is something that you can develop from overexposure to nickel, and there's a lot of nickel that gets added to jewelry components. And so I have had some really bad reactions. So some people can trust a plating or a coating, and that's fine. I know that I can't. And so we have a nickel testing kit that Becky does. So when we both get the same box or the same collection, she can test some of the elements in it. And Lauren at Bargain Bead Box, both actually, is really fantastic about, I didn't bend that one properly, but that's okay. I can straighten it later. I'll show you how. She's really great about if she has the information from the manufacturer certifying that something is nickel-free or lead-free or cadmium-free, she includes that in the listing. So on the packing list, we've got that information for most of these, and so many of these things were already identified as nickel-free. What Becky did is she took the rest of the items, which may or may not have nickel, they just didn't have the certification from the manufacturer. She took those items and she used our little nickel testing kit. And I just got the results from her on that today. And so I felt like I could finally, I could give myself permission to go ahead and start making, because I didn't know what elements I would or would not be able to use. The good news, friends, is that everything, all of the metal from both the original subscription box and the companion bundle was either already listed as nickel-free or tested with no nickel present when Becky tested for it. Even this chain, which I was surprised by that. I thought this would probably end up having nickel in it. So that made me really happy. I'm going to set this aside. We may use some for a couple of other elements, but here's the 9 links that I just made. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim all of these so that they are about 1 centimeter left. And that's about this much on my finger. You might choose to measure it every time if you want to. This is the centimeter right here. So it's about 1 centimeter in length. I do it maybe a touch less. That might be 9 millimeters. Pretty close. so I'm trimming them all down to about 1 centimeter left to do that remaining loop. So I am approximating it and eyeballing it. I'm not picky enough to measure each and every one. But that doesn't mean that if you do, that there's anything wrong with that. If you want to measure it, you can. I just found a place on me, just like Becky did, where she says, okay, yeah, that's about where I need it. So this is the trim that all of the links are getting, which is giving them all a nice flush cut, and also making sure that I have a nice uniform length that keeps in mind the presence of the beads. Like, I could have cut it this much shorter when I was cutting it off the spool, but I would still need to, you know, get a flush cut. And also, like, when you are holding the link with the beads, it fits different. And this way I don't accidentally end up with something that is too extremely short and have to go again and waste wire trying to remake it. So that is how I'm doing these guys. Okay. So then after I've got all of those cut, move my cutters aside, and I'm taking my round nose pliers again, and I'm just doing the same thing. This bend means I don't have to reposition it or knock it back afterwards. It will already be centered over my link. So I'm just twisting that around until it comes back at the top of the bead. So we're just doing this. And I'm reminding myself that this is, for some reason, feeling softer. And I don't know if it's because it's hot or if it's just this metal alloy is not as stiff. But it is a nickel-free metal that I'm using, so I can use it with my allergies. So everything I'm using tonight was either already identified as being nickel-free, or we've tested it, and Becky has confirmed that there was no presence of nickel in her test. That's not official, friends, but it is a guide. I'm just getting these other sides of these loops made, and then I'm going to be straightening my loops and work hardening them at the same time. I'll show you that step. And then it will be time to put our chain together. And I probably could have separated some of these already, but I didn't want, you know, spacers to be falling off and stuff like that. So I'm just going to be opening these links, pulling them off, and attaching them to the chain as we go, so that I'm not opening and closing loops unnecessarily and weakening the wire. All right, so here's these links, and the way that I'm going to check them and work hard on them at the same time is I'm just going to take one set of pliers. I've got the bent nose right here, and I'm setting one end of the link in here, and then I'm taking my chain nose and grabbing the other end of the link, and you see how these are positioned? This is the current position of the loops. All you have to do to straighten them is just straighten your pliers. Sorry, blocking the other links. And then give them a little squish, and that helps to work harden them. So we're just doing that with each of these links. This one was already straight, little squish. Only a little bit off, tiny adjustment, squish. That's how you do it. It's pretty easy. It is an important step. Sometimes I forget, but I've done better about remembering. This beaded chain challenge has really helped me a lot with. This is one of the ones that I said, this is going to need to be adjusted. Yep, adjusted. It's really helped me a lot. It's not perfect. I'm still definitely learning. I'm still definitely practicing, but I feel like I'm getting there. And I'm learning from the experience. So a little adjustment, and then that one is done. Okay, so I've already started one half of this necklace. I think I'm gonna put these closest to the focal, these ones. Should just show you those so you can see the links I'll put together. I'm going to do this one closest to the focal because it's my favorite and I want more of these to show on the front side of the necklace. And so I am opening these links because again, I want to maintain the integrity of my necklace as much as possible. So I open this link and I put on that link, the one that I had first started with. That's the order I chose to do. You might choose to do it a different order. And then I'm taking my chain here. Sorry, thought I had it ready, not quite. And I'm just, as I'm going, I'm just taking this, swinging this open, and linking it on. Ooh, that is not quite closed. Hold on, I'm gonna do the other side. I'm gonna do this side, because see that gap? I'm gonna fix that. So I want the closed end of this link. Because I'm just gonna swing this open just a little. Closed end of this link. And when I swing this back closed, I also push it in towards the wire. So now that's closed, no gap. And then the next one in my series is the one with the crystal inside. So I'm doing that and I'm making sure that I'm just attaching. And then put this on. I'm just doing it I'm saving myself a step. So I do this, and then I'm gonna open this side right here. Detach the rest of this chain. It's a little bit less confusing of like, okay, which end do I do? And that was the barrel. Yes, that was the barrel. So now I'm going to attach one more of these wood beads to this end. And I need to decide, I know I'm not continuing this, the wood bead. Well, yeah, because that's about 10 inches. So with the closure and the length, this is going to make this a little bit longer necklace. So it's going to, yeah, that's about how long I'm going to want it. So I'm taking this off here. And I need to decide if I want to add one of these wood beads near the focal, between this link and the focal. And I kind of think I do. It's going to add just a little bit of length. But if I do it, that's where I want it. So taking this and attaching it here. And then, since I'm swinging this open anyway to detach it from the rest of my chain, I hope this hasn't been confusing. Maybe it has been, since I keep attaching this chain and then taking it off, but oh, I opened the wrong one. That was silly. I needed to open the one that's attached to my beaded, my beaded chain, the one that I made the links for. I need to open this. And then I am going to attach it to, where did it go? I think it's this one. So this is where the circle is at the bottom. I think this is where I'm going to use it to attach here with maybe a link between. So what I want to do is I want to attach this chain in this opening to the side. See, I'm using it as a multi-point connector. So this is directly above, and I'm going just slightly up and over. So that side of the chain has been attached to this now. And I'm just going to repeat that. I'm going to put this chain together in the same way that I did this one. I just won't have that section already started. So if we start with this, attach that. This is going to feel backwards, but I promise I know what I'm doing. So I'm still leaving this attached here. I'm going to unattach it when I'm getting ready to attach it here, but I'm just going to leave it attached. I'm working from the other end of this chain now. So that's what I just switched. Changed my mind about what order and how I'm connecting. But it will make sense as I build the chain. This will start to look familiar at this point. I don't want stuff to come loose, so I'm waiting to open that other end. It didn't quite open enough. And I'm just mirroring the same pattern I did on the other side. If you need to, you can check. I remembered that I did my patterned blue bead, my crystal bead, and then my barrel bead. So that's what I'm currently doing. This was definitely different, getting the beaded chain. You know, she usually includes some type of chain, and it's usually just whatever the metal way is that is being featured in that box. And I love that she includes the chain. Very often it is a chain that I can use. Not always, but very often it is. This was definitely a different approach, but I like the wood beads with this, especially to help it feel that cozy nature that I think she was going for, you know. I know a lot of people are not a fan of matte beads, and I'm going to be using some in the design later. And I'm not at all saying that she shouldn't dislike matte beads if you dislike matte beads, but I did spend some time thinking about it. I don't mind the way they feel. I know some people have an aversion to that, and you cannot help that at all. And polished beads usually do look better. I 100% agree that especially petrified wood looks better when it's polished. But I also get the feel like the comfortable sweater is the one that is all cozy and matte and doesn't have all the, you know, sparkly, glittery threads running through it, making it scratchy. The cozy sweater, the cozy blanket doesn't have much in the way of bling. It is more subdued, and by giving us some subdued beads, even if they're ones we're not used to seeing in that way, it gives us an opportunity to create that or embrace that cozy feel. If it worked for you, great. If it didn't, that's okay too. But it is something I've thought about. I don't have anything against matte beads. There are certain ones I really do wish would be polished, but then we got some that were. And that's one of the reasons why I like to wait and design until I have all the choices in front of me. Because a matte bead by itself is boring and may not be very pretty. But combined with other things, it might be quite lovely. We'll see. All right, I'm adding the last wood bead to the end of this chain. and I am gonna open up and close this one because it's done for now. I'm not worrying about clasping at the moment, and I don't want that bead to escape. Okay, so I'm moving this away. Look at how much of this I still have. Oh, I'm not moving it away because I still need to detach this one. Same thing. I'm gonna open this up, except instead of closing it again, I am attaching it in the same position on my connector as I did the first half. So I'm taking this and putting it through this kind of double open section. There's a little notch in between. I'll push the beads up. I didn't mean to. There's this little notch in between, but it is all kind of an open section there. And I just made sure that I was putting the link on the same way so that the open side is on the same side for both sides, which is going to end up being the back of my necklace. So, because there is a front and back for this focal. So this is the chain all set up. I'm just double checking that I didn't screw anything up. I didn't. Gosh, guys, it looks good. This doesn't look quite close, so I'm fixing that. It is an opportunity to inspect your chain, make sure that you're not seeing any gaps or where the metal's not lining up. But considering that these two metals, the metal I used to make my links and the metal in the chain, are not the same, I think it actually looks really good. And having that consistent, combination makes it look more seamless. So, okay. So now I want to attach this to this. Oh no, I did it in the wrong place. Haha, this is my circle. I need this at the bottom. So here we go. I did not put this in the right place, but I will fix it and it will be in the right place momentarily. Okay. All right. I was not paying attention to that when I chose the spot to put it on. Okay, so. Oh, that means I put the other one on wrong. I need them to be here with the loop down. I need to fix both sides. That's fine. That's why it was wrong. Or did I undo the wrong side? I don't know. But I'm fixing it now. Okay. And then this also needs to be moved. All right, so if this is the bottom of the necklace and I've got the open side over here, then the open side needs to be here. Yeah. So check that before you close yours, so you're not opening and closing a bunch. If I weaken this and it snaps, I will I'll just replace it with something else off of that chain. But I think it's okay. Okay, now this is the right way. Okay, because I need a parallel link to combine these two. And I think I am leaning towards using this because I really like it. But I also really like this. So I don't know which one I should do. And you guys can't tell me because this is recorded and not alive. But I do need to make a decision. Sorry, fixing a link, just making sure it's closed nice. So I love this and I love that. What if, here we go. What if I don't repeat one of the links I've already used, which could work. I could definitely just repeat one of these other links. I could even just put in one of these beads in between. But what if instead I have this just pick my favorite beads from this and put them together, which my favorite beads are the blue ones, of course. Of course. I feel like that's too long. I feel like I want a shorter link, which means this is not what I'm going to do. Maybe what I do is just this by itself. Nothing special with it, and just hope that my bead caps, that I make it tight enough that my bead caps are fine. I like that length better. You know what? I think I am going to, one of my suggestions, I think I'm just going to do this. I think I'm just going to do this. So I am just going to open this guy. Put it through this loop. Oh, is that a big enough loop? Let's see. It's close, but I don't think it's quite big enough. The question is it, can I close it enough that it's going to stay on and stay where it's supposed to? Or is it going to get all awkward on me? I think it's fine. Okay. And then I just checked to make sure that that was parallel, and it is. And then close this one. Yeah. Yep, that's what I needed to do. That's what I needed to do. It just needed something as a connector, but I needed it to be simple. So this is just checking the length. Yes, with the clasp, this is going to be a perfect longer of the two necklaces so that I can still connect the other one. I like a little bit of extra movement, and I do need to make sure I know which side is which. So my fiddly bit when I'm using a toggle clasp is the bar. So I am grabbing one of my jump rings, but I am just, whoops, so sorry. I am just going to use a small one, just so I have a little bit more articulation. And then the loop, I am also going to use a jump ring. I wasn't gonna, but I am. So. Okay. So this is the bar side first, because that's puts the pendant the right direction for me. And I'm just putting on the chain and the bar, which has more of like a, instead of it's more like a button kind of thing instead of like on the end of a bar. But I do like that this is a nice long bar. It should help it stay connected better. And then this one, this is the loop right here. So this is what I'm attaching to the other side. Making sure I've got, yep. Making sure it didn't get flipped the wrong way. And then I'm just going to do the same thing where I'm just going to open this jump ring, attach my chain, and then this is the same front. Oh no, it's not the same front and back. I want it, this is hanging, I want it to be like this. And this is a pretty enough clasp. You could have it near the front of your necklace instead, but also it's gonna look cute if I have my hair up. So did not mean for that to happen. Okay. This, I lost my grip. Get a grip, Jen. It's because I am using a small jump ring. Fiddly bits and all that. get it right? Yep. So you could absolutely use this in the front of your design. I didn't on this one. I could have just worked it in, but then I would have to have figured out which direction all of my links were going and go from there. But yeah, so we've got our first of 2 necklaces. And there we go. Our first of 2 necklaces that is a definite chain that we've got going on. Sorry, that was all cattywampus and off screen, but now it's not. So I like this. I like this. Let's go ahead and I thought about making bracelets. I think I'm going to move on to the other necklace, and then we will see about doing some earrings. I have at least one earring design I know for sure I want to do. I'm not sure if it necessarily goes with one more than the other, but we can also do some simpler earrings that follow more like some of the pretty like links and stuff that we have in here. So we will revisit this. Okay, so for my strung design that I'm going to be doing on this dark blue lapis. Oh, there's my spool that was already started. I was about to start another new spool. I have some here. And this should be enough for me to do my necklace. So for this one, let's do a little bit of our prep. So I played around with a couple of ways to do these dangles. And there's also, oh, we need to get some more things out of our boxes because we've also got these dangles, friends. We've also got these dangles that are just ready to go. And I need some more of these flowers and the puffy coin flower beads. Do at least that many. And they also use these same bead caps. I have a few left here. That's probably, yep, that should be enough to do my dangles. I am going to be using various other elements, and we'll probably pull them as I'm kind of testing stringing. I know though that I'm going to be using these. I'm going to do a double beaded bail loop for my pendant, which is the lapis lazuli pendant here. It's so pretty, guys. It's so pretty. And when I do that, I am going to be using this, get my bead scoop out for this. I am using these guys. They're very tiny, but I think that they're going to make a nice beaded bail. So scoop out some of those, scoop out some of that. We're going to come back to this when we actually get to the stringing part of it. But for sure, we're going to make some dangles and figure out what we're gonna do on the stringing. So I played around with this as a 24 gauge pin, but I didn't like having a long wrap. Also, I'm really not good with wrapping 24 gauge. It's just usually a mess and out of control. So I tried a rolled loop, but I don't like the way that looks as much. So I got some, and this is a ball pin. So I got some head pins. So it's this flat part, but because this flower basically covers it, I feel like I'm not losing anything by having the head pin instead of a ball pin. But this is a stronger pin. In fact, this is where I will use the memory wire cutters to cut this, so I don't mess up my new flush cutters. And then turn this into just a simple loop that can be strung on in our design. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to do 3 of these for each side of the necklace, at least 2, possibly 3, but I also might incorporate them in some earrings. So I'm going to make a few more of these, and I want to alternate them in the design. Oh, whoops, not this one. This one I will cut open because this is the 24 gauge that I didn't like my rolled loop for this use. But I'm going to alternate the longer and shorter dangles on the necklace so we get a little bit more kind of visual interest in between all of the fun beads. So that's my idea. And they're not necessarily going to stay straight, these coins, but if I make them so that the loop goes this way and I make them tight enough, it'll hold kind of this position. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. So let me get out these pins. I'm using the shorter of these two. I don't remember which is which. There it is. The shorter of these. And let's put together some of these pins. I'm just going to set this aside. I have plenty of the beads, so I can just snip that open afterwards as part of my cleanup. Assuming I don't change my mind and decide to use that style. So why mess it up if I might actually use it? So some of these pins are going to be bent. That's just the nature of it. I'm going to try to pick the ones that are straighter to work with so that I'm not taking time straightening pins. There we go. And that should be, so that's 6, and I've got one already made. Let's get one more. I'm going to make 8, which is 3 for each side, which is for sure what I want to do. I need another of these. Yeah, so 3 for each side, and then also I do like this, and I think I am going to incorporate this. Maybe this is going to be my simpler earring that I was talking about, using these on my simpler earring, because I have something big planned for the other one. We'll see if you guys like it. It involves chandeliers and wood. So those are going to be some earrings. So I'm just putting this on, and what I'm doing, wrong way, the flower with the petals down. And then this bead cap kind of snugs right over it like this. And then the coin bead, the puffy coin. And then just take that and bend it over. And then again, with memory wire cutters, because this is a steel pin, trim that down. And then I'm going to make the next one, or I'm going to wait and do the cutting after. So I'm going to kind of assembly line these guys too, but that was putting one of them together. So just putting all the pieces on the pins and bending them over. And see, these aren't perfectly straight, but it's fine because once everything's on it, they're fine. And I can, it's easy, actually easier for me to bend it the way I want it if it's got beads on it. Just make sure you're not breaking your beads. That's the bit. So putting on my flowers. I really needed some dangles, and if I'm going to be doing flower dangles that are flowers, it's going to be on the necklace with the flower pendant. I just have to. Oh, I have this one as well. So they had these, and I bought them from the shop. I am going to pull out the one that I got before, and I'm going to compare, and I'm just going to pick whichever one I like better to use in this design. So hold on, let me finish putting these on. Oh, do you have a hole? Would you like to show me? Oh, nope, something is stuck. So this one is stuck, but that's okay. I have more of those flowers. Just getting another one from my box. I did not check all the holes in my beads before we started, but I've already had to set aside one bead cap and one flower, but that's fine. Oh, I love these. I love how these dangles are coming together. They're making me really happy, this combination of beads. And it's possible that someone else has already done it. If so, that's fine. All of these are from the companion bundle, so you know, it's something that you would look at together. And you know, bellflowers just say, turn me into dangles. But let me see. All right, these are my stone pendants, and I have another carved lapis lazuli, And I'm just going to pick the one I like better. I'm thinking this one, but I just wanted to compare the two. Oh yeah, this one is so much more blue. But this one is also interesting. Like, look at the difference in them. There's a lot of variation. This one might actually go with the more muted blues that we have with the flowers than this one. There's the top, and there's the top. I like the bolder blue here, but I think this one might actually go better. I feel like this one goes better because it is more muted. This bold blue one is probably going to go with something else. Let's use this one. Let's use this one because I feel like this tonally fits better. Love the way this one is though. But they both got that pyrite and stuff. They just have different levels of coloration. And this has more of like some of the splotchy white in it too. Yeah, I think tonally this one goes better. So I'm going to swap my pendant because I happen to have that. Okay, sorry, I was distracted. I am back to making dangles. But I did remember that, and I was like, oh yeah, I should check and see which one I want to use with this design, which is fun because that means I get that brighter blue one to use at another time. And that's exciting to me that I can have that as a choice. And I'm just getting these all snipped down to that centimeter size that I need for making my loop, or at least a uniform size between them. It might be a little bit more than a centimeter because it is harder because the cutter is in between. It is harder for me to gauge that position, but I do try. So these might end up being a little bit longer, which means that they will have a little bit larger of a loop. That one is already snipped. All right. And then just getting those round nose pliers out again to finish my loops. And then I will harden these the same way as I did the other ones. Give them a squish with my other pliers. And like I said, I'm making 8 of these because I think it's really likely, because they look like little girls in dresses. You know, I love the shape that this dangle ended up taking. And so I would like to use them. And I probably will use them in one of the pairs of earrings. Because we're not done. We're going to make this necklace and we're going to make some earrings. And this is definitely, like I said, going to be a little bit longer video. Part of that is because I'm sharing my creative process with you. And while I had an idea what I wanted to do, I knew that I would be creating while we're together. But these are so fun. I do. Those are my favorite dangles. If I eliminate a dangle, I'm eliminating these ones and using these ones. I'm definitely using these dangles. And I am going to show you how I make a double beaded bail loop. The first time that I learned or saw a double beaded bail loop was Lauren Fenty demonstrated it. She was going over different ways to create. Nope, I don't need to do that yet. To set it off on the side. To create a bail for a pendant that didn't already have a bail, including using pinch bails, single beaded loops, wire wrapping, several choices of what you could do. And I'm moving our dangles off now that we've created them, because now we're just about to the stringing part. Like that was the prep work. Now we get to get in here and do the fun stuff. Not that prep isn't fun, but you know what I mean. But when you have something like this, you can, you know, use a jump ring. You can try to use a pinch bail. It would be hard with this carving. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can do. And she demonstrated a beaded bail and then a double beaded bail. And when she did, she used these great little small spacer beads similar to these, but they were just silver and they were all the same. And you loop them back through. So you have a loop at the front and a loop at the back, and then you cross through the same bead at the top. So you use an odd number of beads, and she just used the same bead for all of it. Well, when I started trying to use this technique, because I liked the idea of doing a beaded bail because I have metal allergies, I decided to play with it a little bit, and I did it using a decorative top bead. So the bead where it crosses back through, and I'm going to demonstrate this all in just a minute. I choose a special bead to do that, but it's really important that when you do, you select a bead that can accommodate 3 passes of whatever stringing material you're using. In this case, I'm using this medium soft flex wire, and it's close to the end of the spool. I'm just going to use this whole spool, and if I have extra at the end, that's fine. I'll probably use them in some earring designs. Maybe not tonight, but another time for sure. Because this is longer than I need. I need enough to make my necklace, make the beaded bail, which does take up some of your stringing wire, as well as to crimp it at the end. So this is more than I need, but I'll just use it and then use the scraps for something else fun later. But what you want to do is you need to make sure that your beading wire, or whatever bead you use, can accommodate 3 passes of your beading wire. So the first is when you first string it, and then 2 more passes to cross back through it. And so I found that these little crystal rondelles, these red crystal rondelles, do accommodate 3 passes. So I looped 2 through to start with, and then I just poked another one through here. So I'm going to use this as my decorative top bail, but I don't want to distract too much like in front of the carved pendant itself. So I want to use these blue beads to create my bail. Because this is really close to the edge and I want to be able to have room to create some nice loops, I'm actually going to raise my bail farther above. So it's going to be sitting probably closer to this, instead of having this right up against my stone. It's entirely up to you how much beads you want on your bail. But because I know that I want to try to do it there, I'm gonna probably do at least 5 beads on each side. So I'm stringing a total of 11 beads. I'm starting with 5 of these guys. These little 3mm drooks. And I've done it often with seed beads or other like small metal beads. You can use whatever small beads you want. That did not want to string. That's 4, 5. And then for my 6th bead, I'm putting on my rondelle. And then I'm doing 5 more of these little blue beads. And these blue beads are part of why I chose to go ahead and swap my pendant to the one that was less of a vibrant blue, because this also has some of those more muted tones. And also it's why I'm using blue wire, because it looks good if you see the wire through these beads. So it's all part of that plan. Most of my beading wire is going to be covered by beads, it's true. But I also have some great crystals that I want to use, and I want the blue to show through when it's there. Okay, so I've got my 11 beads on here, and I'm matching up both ends of my wire like this. And I'm moving these beads to the center. So this is the center. And I've got a total, like I said, of 11 beads. That is going to give you an idea. This is what that loop is going to look like on the front of my pendant. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miscount. And then I'm taking both ends of the wire and I'm putting it through the front of my pendant through that hole. And then pulling them through evenly, again, so that I keep them nice and even until it pulls snug. Okay, and then we have this bail. And see how it kind of loops a little bit when I kind of pull it back and press down a little? That's what I'm looking for, is that little bit of a loop. See? This is what we're doing. And I probably could have done one fewer bead on each side, but I like the shape of this, and the fewer beads you use, the more blocky it might appear. So now what I'm gonna do is I need another 11 beads, and it's gonna be 5 blue beads on each side, and then that 11th bead is gonna be passing back through this middle one, so he counts for both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the double beaded bail is not my design. It's not my technique, but I like the way that I've interpreted it, and other people may have interpreted it that way before, but it's kind of become something that when I do one, I always try to do something special with that top bead so that it becomes a really nice part of the design. Okay, so now we've got 5 on each side, and I'm taking one end of my wire and I'm passing it back through this crystal rondelle in the middle and pulling that snug. We're gonna tighten all of it up at the same time in a little bit. And then I'm taking the other end of the wire, and where this wire is coming out, I'm pushing this wire through to the other side. Sometimes just getting it positioned is tricky. Okay. I accidentally looped those. Okay, so then you take both ends of your wire and just give it a little tug. That is my bail. And then I like to kind of finish off the bail, because we do have this wire that's exposed above and below, and we're about to start our stringing. I go ahead and I use one more of that, whatever small bead I used. In this case, it's these 3mm drooks. And it helps kind of give like a finished look as it leads into the rest of your design. Up to you if you decide to do that. I've found that I like the way that looks, because then I don't have a gap where I'm trying to put a larger bead right in that space. So I'm going to keep these drooks out because I might string them. This part I have not decided 100% what I'm doing. I am going to go ahead and grab one of my little bead stoppers. Should have one already sitting out, but I don't see it immediately, so I'm grabbing one of these. Just going to do one of these little dark blue ones. I don't expect this to come loose, but I'd rather it not, and so I go ahead and use a bead stopper on one side while I work on stringing the other side. So this is where I'm going to start designing on the strand. I'm going to see, what do I like, what do I not like, and I am going to be digging into my boxes as I come up with ideas of what I want to do. So I know that I want to use some of these dangles. I need a little bit of space before I start putting them on, but not much, because I do actually have a lot of dangles that I want to use. So 3 of these on one side, 3 on that side, and possibly just 2 of each of these in between, like 1 in between each. I want to see kind of how they go. Or do I go ahead and use a dangle right here? Or is that too close to my pendant? Because this is a long enough bail, and no, I need something else there. I need something else there. Let's get some of this crystal in, because I got a lot of this crystal and I love the crystal. I want to see how it looks in that spot. Oh, and I want to pour out some of these spacer beads. This is, seriously, this is where we're playing. Oh, actually, instead of this crystal, or maybe this crystal, yes, but I did say I wanted to work in some of the muted tones that we get. I'm getting out some of this petrified wood, which I love petrified wood. I grew up in Arizona. I wasn't born there, but I spent a lot of time there. So I had family that lived near in northern Arizona where like the petrified forest is. So it's one of those things I saw as a child and I thought was the coolest thing. And it's not actually wood. It's a forest was buried by, I think in this case it was water. It can either be covered by water or smothered, like buried. Basically, so there's no oxygen, and so the tree doesn't decompose how it normally would. Instead, sediment settles into it, and as the organic matter finally slowly decays away, all the sediment is there in the place and the shape of that tree, and so it becomes stone that is shaped like the tree that used to be there. It's actually pretty cool. Let's see how I want to do this. Do I want to dress these up, because they are a little bit more muted, with some of the bead caps, or is the bead cap a bit too much? No, I'm kind of liking the bead cap. Kind of liking the bead cap with the crystal beside it. So we get some of that blingy crystal in, and then this nice, I want the play of bright and sparkly and muted. So then we get this guy, and maybe this and this, and one of these. Is this what I want to do? Is that too small of a bead beside that larger loop? I think that might be too small of a bead. Oh, what have we got out? No, because we're already using those. I don't want to take away from that. This is me mumbling to myself as I figure out what I want to use. These two beads are too small to have right up against this particular loop because I don't want it to eat it. No eating the beads. And that is also goes to the beads. I think maybe I'm looking at some of my options. I'm going to go ahead and put one of these here so it kind of brackets that, because we've got one of these drooks and then this grouping. So it finishes this grouping right here. Sorry, I was off. I just realized it was off camera when I was working on that. It is not off camera now. Okay, just that a little bit. Maybe this is where these come in. Get these bright guys back in on either side of these dangles, because they definitely won't eat. It's not going to move. It's going to stay like this. And then we've got some of the sparkly red coming back in. And then we can do one of these. And is that far enough away or too far? I think that's just right. I think that's just right for that first dangle. Let's go with, I'll grab more of these beads if I decide to use them in this way. Some of these little guys, and then maybe one of these, because this is a smaller hole, so I can have it right up against that little metal spacer. I like to look at it in the preview on my camera, on my phone, because looking at it close, I think I'm looking at it too close. If I get just a little bit removed, I get a better idea of how I like it. Okay. Let's see. And then if I repeat this on the other side of it, whoops. I'm seeing how far apart it puts certain elements of my design. Like, I like patterns. And I'm seeing how I like this particular pattern. So I want to get a couple of repeats of it on the strand. Move some of these things up so I can move my work up a little bit. There we go. So that I can decide if this is what I want, if the spacing is what I want, if the layout is what I want. This doesn't look quite closed, and I don't want it to come loose, so I'm just tightening up this loop. That's all. Okay, and then and I want to try to, so like I've used this dark petrified wood on this side. I'm going to set one over here to kind of match it. And then I'm pairing them up a little bit so that they don't have to, but I like the idea of them being balanced from one side to another with the different tones of the petrified wood. So since I put that one there, but it's adding the petrified wood now, spacing out my dangles too much, and I think it might be. So which is more important to me, the dangles or the petrified wood? Because I'm already near the front of that. Or maybe I just don't use as many dangles as I thought I would. Maybe this is, because this is about the front of the necklace. This feels like it repeats too much. But it's a mirrored pattern, like I start here and then I go into here and then I mirror back. This is what I call auditioning it on the strand, where I was like, do I like this? I don't think that I do. So instead of doing this, and instead of doing these, how about we just focus on the petrified wood and the dangles that I made? And I might use those other dangles somewhere else. So instead of that, we do sometimes you don't know until you put it on the strand if you're gonna like it or not. And that's okay. You can absolutely change your mind. I like using the drooks instead of the brass spacers. It looks like I may not use them at all if I like this pattern. Whoops. Helps if I do it right. There we go. I think adding in the other spacers and then the beads to make that work. I like this so much better, guys. I like this so much better. This is what I'm doing for this necklace. This is absolutely what I'm doing. And I have these guys in that other necklace. If I wear them together, you know, I don't want them to be too much repeating each other. So I'm okay setting those aside, and I'm okay setting those aside. I am going to focus on these. So I went ahead and set those. I like these gray ones. We'll use these gray ones next. But this is kind of what I was talking about. It's like I get the nice cozy smoothness. And yes, you see, like, this is the petrified wood that's like all star cut and polished, and it is beautiful. But I'm not using it in this design. Maybe I'll make something else from it at another time. But I like these kind of gray ones, so I'm going to go ahead and put a gray one on each side. Yeah. I'm so much happier about that choice. I think I was trying to do too many different beads, which is fun. There's a lot of great beads, but it wasn't right for what I wanted of this. It was too much going on. This feels just right because this is going to be a shorter necklace. I plan on wearing this as more of like a collar length necklace. So it's going to be like right here at the base of my throat, and then this up along the side is how I plan on having that. And so all of my dangles within this amount of space is appropriate. And it just has that better spacing that I was looking for. And I like it. That's the important part. Do you like it? when you're putting some things together. All right, what petrified wood should we use now? I'm thinking I've got another kind of reddish tone one. Looking for one that matches this one closer. They're all really different. Those are probably better. And then we'll end with some darker ones at the back. So like these, then these. But see, like, look at all the cool patterns in them. They're really cool. Even if they're matte, they've got some cool stuff going on. So, and I think that's going to be just about my length once I get to that other petrified wood repeat, because we are not putting another dangle. So let me check kind of where I'm at. We're not putting another dangle there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this through. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it, and if I hate it, then I'll change it, as you saw. So we've got this. That finishes this pattern. So that finishes this pattern. If we were going to continue with this, then right here would be these crystals again with a dangle, but I don't want the dangle, but I do want like some visual. No, not by itself. Maybe I don't want to just put, well, maybe I do just put one of them instead of two with a dangle. And it takes just a tiny bit less space, but it still gives your eye that little bit of a place to rest. Let's see how that looks before we get back to crystals. I love these crystal cubes. I'm so glad that I got more of them. I'm sorry if you wanted more of them and you didn't because I was greedy. I do apologize for that. I'm gonna do these two because these both have like some cool swirling on them. Okay, so this, that's the order. All right. And then, and I think this one I'm gonna do, rather than that other fancy one, this is the toggle clasp that came with the subscription box. And I think I might do that for this one. Because that is coming up. Ending one side and putting on the finishing touches. checking the length now that I've got those two sections. Here, I'm going to show you what I got. So here's our pendant, and then we've got some collections of crystals and matte petrified wood all the way around the back. And I need just a little bit more space, not enough to do a whole repeat, but maybe I will do some of these. Like as if I was getting ready to do another one. Just a couple more beads on each side. And then I've got room to crimp, do my clasp, and I will use jump rings to adjust that fit if I need to. But I'm feeling this. I'm liking this. I'm gonna use, where are my gold crimp tubes? Thought I had those right here. They are on my table. It's just, where are they? There they are. I go through them. I need to get some more. Next time I order, I need to order more gold. And like a lot of them. That's okay. So these are 2x2 crimp tubes. They are from Softflex. I use them with the magical crimper. It's meant to be used with 0.018 to 0.019 beading wire. There we go. And it will only work with 2x2 crimp tubes. It's really important when you choose your, see, I have a lot more wire than I need, but like I said, gosh, that could even be possibly a bracelet. I will make use of this at another time. Like I said, I was close to the end of the wire anyway. Figured why measure it? Just pull it off and the rest becomes scrap wire to be used for other projects. It is really important when you choose your crimp tube, and I recommend Softflex for this reason, that you get one that has a thick wall like this and also does not have a seam. If it has too thin of a wall or it has a seam, the magical crimper will just break your crimp, and that's just not going to make anybody happy. So you want to make sure that you use a really good quality crimp tube that has that thick wall and no seam. Becky and I both use the Softflex. But you're going to take your crimpers, and there's this little spherical concavity inside of here on both sides. And you're going to, after you've made your loop, you're going to position your tube inside the crimp. Make sure it's clear of any nearby beads so you don't, break your beads. I'm gently holding it in place while I tug things into position, and I've got my bead here on the side, and I've got my loop, and when it's centered, super important that it's centered. Come on. You're going to give it a little squish. And if it was centered, then you will have all four corners will be crimped down like a little ravioli. My crimp tube itself is at an angle, but it was centered inside my pliers, so it will be fine. So then you're going to take it and rotate it 90 degrees from where you just were, so it's straight up and down inside your crimper, and give it another squish. And then you're just going to take it and rotate it, keeping it centered, and giving it little squishes until you don't feel any resistance anymore. And what it's doing is it is turning your crimp tube into a little meatball, so that when you're all done, you have a nice smooth little ball of crimp that is strong. This is going to hold. And it's important, there's two things to keep in mind. Using the right diameter wire as well as having the thick wall means that there's enough volume between the wire and the wall of the crimp tube to make that ball. That's why it's really important to have both of those. You can, if you're having trouble with your crimps, put a little extra wire in there so that it, again, has more volume in order to work on your crimps. That's one of the things that you can do if you're struggling with it. Try putting in a little extra wire that you can then snip off when you're done. And I'm just snipping this wire. Okay. There we go. So that's one half of my necklace. And now I'm gonna just string the other half. And because I've already got this side done and I did all my figuring out on it, this other side is gonna string a lot more quickly. I just am putting everything on here, and I might need to get a few more things out of my boxes. I have more of everything, so I'm not worried about running out. I just may not have gotten out exactly what I need to do this, so I might be grabbing a few extra things. But you can see we've got this here. I love this. This is making me very happy. This is making me very happy. I'm glad that I took the time to play around and find what I was looking for in these beads. I love the sparkle. I love that I chose to swap to the more subdued lapis lazuli rose that I had in my stash that was exactly the same cut as what came in the companion bundle. Just because I feel like it goes with these blues that I chose a little bit better. So guys, they're so cute. I love these dangles. Do you love these dangles? Don't they look like little dancing girls? They're adorable. Okay, maybe I'm the only one who sees little dancing girls, but they, you know, they look all twirly. I liked to twirl when I was a little girl and had on a new dress. I wanted to twirl. Now it would just make me dizzy. Just saying. Now it would make me dizzy. I am loving this though. It's just great, guys. It makes me happy putting this stuff together. I just had a moment of, did I remember all my beads? Yes. Because I have a tendency to be like, okay, I'm near the finish line. I'm just going to string all these on, and then I miss beads. And then I'm mad because I missed a bead. I need to not miss beads so I don't have to be mad. Because I do like a symmetrical necklace. I try to do asymmetry. If you've seen other videos of mine, you might have seen some of those. If not, I'm sure you can find them if you look in our history of such. Gosh, these are pretty. This is making me happy. And it's not like a direct match with the other necklace, but I think that they will feel like if I choose to wear them together, I think they'll feel nice together. I brought a drink in here in case I got thirsty because it's the middle of the night and I knew this was going to be a long video, and so I've just got a soda over here, and my hands have been too busy to even do that. To even reach over and get a drink, because I've been trying to keep busy for you guys. This is a long video, but I'm not just dawdling. But I'm also not in a race. I'm enjoying the process, that creative process that we talked about. It is just nice. Okay, I'm really close to, I have enough of my bead caps. I just discovered that, so that's good. I have enough bead caps. I think I have to get out some more crystals, both kinds. The little red rondelles and my cubes. But I'll only need a few of each. In fact, I don't need the cubes. I just need the red rondelles because I only need one red rondelle. Gosh, guys, I'm pretty good at this. All right, let's get some of these guys on. All right, so matching them up, just make sure I haven't missed anything to this point. That is looking so good. And then I got one red roundel, a cube, my open and close around a petrified wood, I like that I balanced the colors like this. This is really satisfying to me. I don't know if it's satisfying to any of you, but it's very satisfying to me. And I'm the one who made it, so I guess it should be satisfying to me. But it's not a necessary thing. You don't have to do it, but I'm very glad that I did. Because I look at it and I'm like, yes, yes, that was the choice I wanted to make. All right, so now my right side matches my left side, because that's what I just strung as my right side. And I am going to put on my other crimp tube, and I'm going to crimp this side. The only thing that I'm doing differently on this one is instead of pulling it out and showing you the 4 corners crimped down, I'm not going to. Because I found when I was learning how to do this, once I had it centered, it was much better for me to leave it centered and just rotate it around inside the pliers without actually pulling my pliers away. I see people use it successfully, pulling it away between every single little crimp. I couldn't do that. I would probably mangle my crimp because it wouldn't stay centered. Because it's that's just I know me. I know me. I would mess that up and then I would get frustrated. And so I just I leave it in my pliers. You can tell, you can feel when it does right. And so I don't need to pull it out to check. While you're learning, you might feel like you need to pull it out to check. And if you do, that's fine too. But for me, it's much easier to get it centered, give it a squish, rotate it, and keep squishing. See how it was so easy for me to keep that centered? And now I have my crimp. So I do recommend that. If you are sure you had it centered to start with, just keep it centered. Much, much easier. So I've got 2 lengths of wire. These are pretty decently long. Like I said, they may even be long enough to use in a bracelet design. In fact, they are. So I may use that later. I will tuck it away where it can be found and used. And this necklace just needs a clasp. And so I just need jump rings. That's not, there's, these are the one with the right color jump rings. And I'm going to use a little bit bigger jump rings than I did last time, because these are some very thick loops that I'm going to be going through. I want to make sure I have room for that. And also I have the room. I don't feel like my necklace is too long. I have the room to give them the larger jump rings to make sure it fits. So I am, again, this is my right side, so it's where I'm going to put the bar. So just put this on my wire and the bar. And if I need to add another jump ring, if this feels too tight and I need to add another jump ring, I'm going to add it to this side. So I don't expect to. Just making sure my jump ring closes all the way and that it's lined up nice. Okay. And then do this on the other side. You see my little tug test there, just making sure that this jump ring and everything was holding correctly. I'm not worried about my crimps because I know that I've got good crimps, but it doesn't hurt to do a little tug just to make sure that everything is holding the way you want it to. Yeah, that one clicked better. The other one didn't click, it was slightly misaligned, so I had to fidget with it a little bit more. And then this one, why does that look squashed? It is squashed. Hold on. There we go. and that's gonna hold. So then when I put this on, I'm wearing another necklace. Let me take that off first. This is a recent design that I did. Not at all related to Bead Box Bargains, but it's there. All right, this fits very much how I want it to. And I'm gonna put on this other necklace and I'm gonna see if it all fits the way I want it to. It does have like a toggle on both sides. I don't know if they're gonna kind of interfere with each other or not, but yeah, I have enough clearance between the one pendant and the other that they can be worn together. The dangles kind of get in the way of the longer necklace, so maybe I won't wear them that often together, but different necklaces for different necklines. I wasn't thinking about that with the dangles. They do kind of interfere just because they go up right to like the side of my neck because of the length that I made the strung necklace. So we've got this one. And then we've got this one. And I've got one more complicated earring design. And I say let's get to it. I did already warn you this was going to be a long video, so let's do some more. Let's do some more. So I'm going to show you what I have for an idea, and I don't know about all of the components involved, but let's get these things out of the way. Necklaces are going to get out of our way because we are done with them for now. Just setting them off to the side. I'm not planning on using these metal dangles. I don't want to add a lot of metal to what I'm already planning on doing because I'm already planning on using these. So these are the chandeliers that came in the companion bundle. These are the wooden pendants. They had another chain attached to them. It was kind of a janky chain, so I just went ahead and took it off. I told Becky we didn't even need to bother trying to test those metals. I was just going to remove them. And so I did. And then I played around with making a little drop here with this cube crystal. And I think I like that. And then using some chain. This is the chain that came in, and see, it's nickel free in the antique bronze. Which is darker than this metal, but I don't know that I have anything that's brighter like this. But the other thing that I could do, so I could use some of this chain to connect these to a couple of these links here. But the other thing I can do is use a couple of these links to accomplish the same thing. And then I was thinking about just making some cute little dangles to attach to like the center and then the outside. Not everything is going to have a link. This one and this one, I wouldn't actually do a dangle from it unless I look at it and say, yeah, it needs that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. So if one of these connects from here to here, I'll use jump rings. I'll use jump rings, and that will help kind of extend the space. Let's put together one earring and see if it's what I actually want to do. So I think I do. I really do think I do. But I won't know until I start putting it together. And this is a different wood than this, but I don't think that matters, especially because, okay, I've got this bead mix from the original box. There's my bead scoop. And I like the idea of using like clear beads, and I was trying to chase some of them down earlier. So we've got several of these that have that kind of ambery tone, but there's also some that are clear red lined ones like this. I think that could be kind of cool. Maybe a red lined one in the middle and amber ones on the end, because there's fewer of the red lined ones. There's another red line, and then we only need see, these are different. These are amber, and these are like, oh, those are even better, I think. Okay. This is the thing about a bead mix. And do I have enough of what I want? So if I do these instead of this darker amber tone, I kind of like these. They're kind of almost like a champagne color. So they're a little bit less matchy-matchy with the wood tone here. But if I've got 4 of those and 2 of these, all right, I'm going to move the other beads off to the side. I will dig in them if I need them. Welcome to my creative process. I'm a messy creative. I am trying to keep it as clear as I can in our workspace, but we will see how that goes. So for these dangles, I am using this 24 gauge pins. And because I don't want a lot of length on them, just pulling these out, and they are super bent, but they also straighten super easy. Because I don't want a lot of length on them like this, and I'm going to be attaching them with very small jump rings. I am doing, I'm doing a rolled loop instead of a wrapped loop. So I'm just putting one on, and then I am snipping off all but about 2 centimeters, which is going to be 2 loops worth, or at least 1.5, because these are, it's very weak wire, very soft wire, but I don't need it to do much. I don't need it to hold much weight. There's just seed beads on the ends. So then I just take this here closer towards the end of my pliers, and I just roll it. These little twitches are just me repositioning the wires, a little tiny open and close to do this. And you just take that, kind of gently push them together, and I've got, actually let me get these guys. That one is not centered, so I'm just knocking it over a little bit over the bead so that it is better centered. So that's what we're doing. So I'm doing that with another one of these crystals that we're going to hang from this loop, and then all of these little seed beads. So it won't take but a moment. And I am snipping it off just so that I don't have like 3 loops or even 4 loops. I don't want it to take up that much space. Okay, that bit of wire went flying. That's one of the amber ones. I'm sending the amber ones away because I think I'm going to do these champagne-y ones, and I think I like them better. Again, these are just, you know, little bits. Just to add a little bit of dangle and whatever to this. I hope this works out. I did not do a dummy of this, so what we get is what we get. What's a little bit longer? It is a little bit longer. There we go. It felt wrong. That one is just a pin, a wire. That one's missing its ball, so I moved it away. Just a couple more. What have you loved most about this box? And what have you found most challenging? I don't mind the big filigree. I think they're really pretty, but I have a hard time deciding how I want to use it. And Beki already did a really great design with it. So, you know, I try not to do everything like my sister. We are not always successful in doing it, but we usually, even though we are using the same box and we're making a bunch of things together at the same time, she doesn't know what I'm doing, I don't know what she's doing, but we always end up with something different because we just have that different style. I meant to bend that over before I started. That was my fault. Don't want to break my crystal, so I'm doing that very gently. All right. Try this again, but with the, since this is such fine wire, it doesn't really hold that bend over to start with, but it helps to try. It likes to straighten itself out as I do this. I have to really pay attention to how I'm holding it. So we get a couple, like it's a double wrap or a double loop. So it's not going to pull off easy, and it's a super light bead that's on the end of it. So, ouch, that was a little bit of a pinch. Okay, let's try to do this a little bit different. So I'm keeping it straight this time. This is me experimenting and figuring out how I like to do things. And then I'm rolling it, and right as I get close to the end, so I've still got this room, then I'm doing a little bit of a bend, and then I'll finish rolling it. And that seems to do better. So instead of doing it at the beginning or the end, I do it just before the end. So I get it down about here. Come on, focus. There it is. So see, I've got a little bit of room there. I'm just bending it back this way, and then I'm finishing my roll. And then it's centered better. Not perfect, but that did pretty good. Okay, I like that method. So if you do the rolled loops and you've been struggling with that little bit, maybe that will help you. I think that is what I need to do for how I hold it and use it. So getting right to the end, bending it back, and then finishing my roll, instead of trying to hold that position the whole time. Okay, let's assemble. All right, gonna use my smallest jump rings. That's gonna be, guys, in this drawer. And they're a little bit different sizes. I think these are 3mm. They might be 4, but they are my smallest. And I'm gonna need 5 for each earring. Oh, more than that. More than that, because we still need to do our wooden links, our wood links. Okay, I'm just getting a pile of them then. Okay, because I just did all the dangles. I was like, let's do one, and then I did all the dangles for both. So, I mean, at this point, we're doing both. Dropping jump ring. Okay, let's do the most fiddly one first. This is going to be the dangle inside the chandelier. Let me get this open a little bit more. Trying to figure out how to get it on. See, it's the fiddly one. Try get a little bit more space on this side. Now that I kind of figured out my approach, needs to be through here. Oh, come on. Oh. Maybe this is easier to wrap it on because you can just stick the wire through and then go, but I'm trying to do it without the pliers first. Okay. So that has that, and then this has this, and then this. Okay, here we go. As long as it doesn't fall off. All right. I don't know if you could see how I attached it, but I used my fingers to get the jump ring through the chandelier, and then I added the dangle, and then I am trying to grip with the pliers. Through both sides. This would also be easier with a larger jump ring, but I don't want that space. I want this to hang as close to the middle of this circle as I can, which it's a little bit low, but any bigger of a jump ring and it wouldn't be staying in that space. So that is that guy attached. These should be easier to attach. So I think I'm going to work from the middle out. So take this and put it through this ring and this ring. Yeah, this is much easier to attach because I'm not trying to work inside of a hole. And then I need 2 of these links. So I'm just going to open up. Because I needed to get it off anyway. Let's see about, no, I do want, yeah, I'm gonna want a jump ring there. I want a little bit more space between these 2 elements. So I will close it back up and use a jump ring. So just opening it to remove it and then closing it securely. I wanted to check to see if that's how I wanted to handle it. May as well get this other one while I'm at it. Sorry, I just realized that I was holding it closer to me because it felt more secure. All right. And these, I need to look at it for a moment. So if I'm using jump rings to attach both here and here, then these need to be parallel loops. So I'm just checking because I didn't make these links. This one is parallel, but this one is perpendicular. So I am just correcting this so that I've got parallel loops for both because I didn't make those, so I hadn't already done that step. All right. Swing this open. Attach. Again, I'm leaving this one in the middle. I might end up adding some dangles there, but right now I'm not going to. And then add that wooden bead. We're gonna get our chandelier all set up. Oh, I put it on the wrong one. I even just said what I was doing and then I put it on the wrong one. Excuse me while I fix this. You, sir, don't attach there. You attach here. I hope this works. And then we've got this jump ring that we're attaching here. And this. And then these little guys on the end. And it might look weird that we don't have something else in that other, and if it does, then I'll pick a different bead. But these are going to be attaching there. We got to see it all put together and see how it hangs. How's it hanging? Before I decide for sure. I suspect that I might need to put another bead there. In which case we might do the amber ones, or I might choose a different color entirely to just kind of change the tone a little in this space in between. I just don't want it to be too cluttered in there when these other ones have a job to do. So that's the idea behind that. But if it looks terrible, then we're going to fix it. Okay, so then we take a jump ring, and these are the same front and back, but this is not. So that only matters really when we're hanging it from the ear wire, which I got out. They're over there. Yes. So attaching, I might need a larger jump ring for this one. I'm going to see if this one will work. If it doesn't, then I need a larger size for these guys. That's okay, I have bigger ones. I'm gonna go for these guys. So this is closer to a 5mm, 6mm. I'm really bad at figuring out what size that is. Yeah, about a 6. Okay, so make sure I can get it on the wood, which I did, and then attach it to the wood dangle bead and close it. Okay, and then all right, and then this is where I need to make sure that I am going the right direction with this one. So if this is going to be hanging correctly, then it needs to go on this way. So just check that before you attach so that it's not all wonky. And this is my earring. Maybe these need to go in. Maybe that's what I need to change. I don't need to add something here, but I need to move these in towards the center because these guys are just dangling right into them, whereas this I think will give it more space and it'll be kind of angled in. So I'm going to try to move one and see what I think. Actually, let me come at it from this direction so that it's and this one does take a lot of fiddly work. So once I've finished the design, I will make the second earring off camera. I want to do this. So maybe the beads were right when I started and tried to go on the wrong thing and I fixed it. Maybe I didn't fix it. Maybe that's what I should have done to start with. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is I'm seeing if I like the way it hangs better if I move it over, and I think I do. Guys, I think I do. I like that better if I hang it, if I kind of notch it inward instead of outward. So I'm gonna fix this other one. and attach an ear wire, and then we'll design that second earring as well. I will make the pairs offline, but I do want to design that second earring using that cute dangle that I developed with the strung design, the strung pattern. Okay. Okay, move these jump rings and other things out of the way. Oh, guys, that's so much better. Yes, that's where I needed to hang them. So I'm going to get an ear wire on here. This is definitely a statement earring. This is a shoulder duster. I don't often do the really long ones, but for how long this is really light because we've got this wood. We're using these wood beads, some smaller seed beads. Really, the weight is coming from the chandelier itself, and it's not going to be that much. So it looks like a lot, but friends, it's really not. So my ear wires are all tangled together, so it's easier to pull a bunch out. All right, so I am opening my ear wire, just swinging it open like I would a jump ring. And this is the back on my right side. This is the back of the earring. And so I need to make sure this does have a front and a back. It's more detailed on the front and more like smooth on the back. I need to make sure that that back is towards the back of the earring itself before I close it, so that when it hangs like this. Oh, how fun, friends. And it doesn't want to behave like laying on my mat, but you know, we'll do our best. So that is my over-the-top earring. Let's do our simpler design because this is going to be a lot easier. And I'm just going to grab some eye pins. I didn't have any out, but I do have some right here in my box. I think there's my eye pins for that metal. All the other colors were on top. I need to get this organized in something a little bit more reasonable so it's quicker and easier to find what I need. But that's a project for another day when I'm not doing quite such a long make. Because guys, we're already over 2 hours. I'm sorry if this was too long for you. It's okay if you had to go watch part of it and then come back to watch the rest. If you stayed through the whole thing, or if you came back to watch more, I appreciate you. I really do. Here we go. Do those 2 pins. Okay, so we already have our dangles. Not that one, that one. So we already have our dangles, and I'm just going to make ourselves a link that uses, again, some of our favorite things from our strung design, because I feel like with the choices I made on my extravagant long necklace, that goes with the long earring, that really goes with the long necklace. So with these dangles and this, I think maybe we just need to find another pair of petrified wood to pair with it. And I think I want to do something that pulls out some of those kind of more red tones. One of these that's more like a nice red pear. Or something that's closer to the light color gray. Oh, I think I like that better. I think I like that better. And I need, because we're doing that, I need a few more of these bead caps. 4 to be precise. That's more than 4. It'll get it done. And then I paired that with the crystal, but I think that that's too big. Maybe this is how we bring in some of this red, is by putting it together on this link. So let's see how this looks. A red rondelle, a bead cap, one of these light colored petrified wood that are kind of in the center right here, and then another rondelle. Gosh, that's almost perfect. And then I'll have this hang from it. Yep. That's what we're doing for this other one. So I'm just taking this and I am going to just bend it over. Just making it parallel because that's the habit. It doesn't really matter for this. But I am getting out my memory wire cutters to snip these. And then I'm gonna make my other link. Gosh, I have so much stuff on my bead mat. I've had fun. I hope that you guys have hung out and had fun with me. I hope you like what I made. I'm gonna clear away some stuff. I'll pause when I do that. I'll clear away some stuff so we can get one last look at everything that we put together for tonight. And this one, apparently, the fiddly one, I will make that second earring off screen, but I am gonna go ahead and do this one because it is quick and easy. That is not quite the same length that I cut off of the other one, so I'm trimming it a little further so that these hang similarly, because I do want these to be twins, not sisters. See, I bend it away and then I roll it toward me to get a nice centered loop at the end of it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and open this and add a dangle. Did not open it enough. Oh, it's easier to open with chain nose pliers. I had problems with the link that I was trying to like tuck in the wire. I hadn't even realized I'd picked up my round nose pliers instead of my chain nose pliers until someone made a mention of it in the comment. Thank you for that. I hadn't even realized I'd picked up the wrong pliers. So checking to make sure I'm using the right tool is a very important thing that I need to learn. And all of this, including this thing right here, can rotate. So I'm not too finicky about which direction I'm attaching this. So I'm just swinging that open and attaching my ear wire. So this is also long-ish and dangly, but it's not nearly as long as our other earring. And it still brings in a lot of these fun colors that we did with this. One of these is a more matchy-matchy earring, and the other one is more, hey, let's kind of throw some things together, and it has the same vibe. I think the only thing that actually matches on that other necklace is the crystal that's hanging in the middle and the wood link are the only things that actually match to the necklace itself. But that's okay. It's enough. All right. Let me get this cleared away and I will be right back to show you everything together. Okay, I had to clear everything and turn things over just to make sure everything could fit. So just to give us one last look at my two sets, I made this chain necklace, number 9 for my September chain challenge. So I did my beaded chain, used the beaded chain that was there and added some of my own links. Used mostly stuff from the original bead box, but also grabbed some things from the companion bundle, the focal, the wood beads themselves. They were all from the, actually these ones as well. So a good combination of the companion bundle and the original box, with a few little additions like these little fire polish guys from the value bundle. So I did go ahead and make, oh, let's get that other crystal where it's supposed to go. I did make my other earring, as you can see, and it was just as fiddly, but at least I knew what I was doing and where I was attaching things, so that part did go a little bit more quickly. And then here is our strung necklace with that lapis lazuli heart, or not heart, flower rose, our double beaded bail, the dangles that I love, which I did use in the earrings, and the matte petrified wood that has just like a nice little kind of shimmer to it, just from my handling it, that helps kind of take away some of that muted matteness, but also these crystals that I absolutely love, these super sparkly crystals. So I'm really happy with what I decided to use. And I had a lot of fun making this. Again, if you stuck around the whole time or came back and rewatched, thank you so much. I know that for me, at least, this was more fun and less lonely knowing that you guys would be watching. So thank you for that. And I hope that this video kept you company. Be on the lookout for Beki's makes today. She's going to be making from the subscription box and the companion bundle as well. And we'll be getting that posted. I'm not sure which order we're doing them. Mine is probably going to be releasing in the afternoon, and then Beki's in the evening. But it just depends on when everything is ready. So I enjoyed this. I hope you did too. If you did like it, hit like. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. Ring the bell so you know when we have new videos, so you know when Beki's video is available. And leave us a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you loved about this or what you struggled with, and maybe we'll make from this another time before we move on to the next box, but that should be coming soon. So we are at the end of September. I've enjoyed this. I love this. I will absolutely wear this. And I hope you have a great time. So as always, happy beading, and don't forget to play. Bye, friends.